Hey team, Master Schiele here. Today I'm going to give you some tips on how to get your child to train martial arts at home. If you've not yet, please do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, all that great stuff. It'll keep me sending this information to you. Let's get started. So, anyone that knows me knows that I started my martial art training at a very, very young age. In fact, I think I was about 7 years old when I actually started. And one of the things I wanted more than anything else in the world at that point was to have fun. Fun is the key. When the kids are having fun, they're going to be motivated to do more of it, right? So here's what happens. You got to make it a fun experience for your child. The worst thing you can do is just say, I want them to train and I want them to just work hard and do. Well, listen, when they're a child, they have to have fun with it, right? So maybe you take a ball and you say, okay, I'm going to throw this ball in the air and I want you to punch as many times as you can before it hits the ground. Maybe you say, all right, now we're going to work on jumping. So I have a little pillow that I want you to jump, and you're going to work on jumping over it. And I want you to try to jump and flying sidekick over it, right? Makes it fun. Here's another one. Maybe you say, all right, we want to work on the flexibility of your kick. So maybe you have take a measuring stick out, right? And just have them kick and say, hey, this is how high your kick is. Let's see if in a week we can go a little bit higher. And I'm going to check that. You're going to get them motivated to what? To stretch, right? So what happens is when you're motivating your child and you make it a fun experience, they're going to want to do what? They're going to want to do more of it, right? They're having a good time. You're bonding with them. So really the key, and that's the first tip I have for you, is to make it fun. In fact, when you do make it fun, they're going to want to do what? They're going to find ways to do it themselves, right? They're going to find ways to train themselves. When I was a kid, and this is just something I did, I had a like that Nerf football, right? The squishy one, and I would take it and I would throw it against the house. And then what I would do is I would do a technique, maybe a kick, maybe a punch, and then I'd run and I'd try to catch it before it hit the ground. So as it bounced off, I would do my technique, I'd catch the ball, and I would do a martial art technique in between. It was just a really fun game that I played by myself. Now that I think about it as an adult, it's really cool because I can say, wow, that was a really good drill that I created to make it interesting, to make it fun, and something that I really just kind of stayed focused with, right? Work coordination and everything. So again, that makes it fun right there, right? So if you can make your journey for the kids fun, that's everything, all right? The next tip I have for you is when you have a training area, the training area is going to be something that's going to really help you and motivate you. So for example, in here, this is our dojo, right? And we know when we bow and we get out on the dojo, we have one thing that we have to do, and that's we're going to train. We're going to work hard. We get in that mode, right? So if you have a little space at your house, I would suggest to tape it off. You don't even need mats and bags and everything. You could just take some painter's tape and then tape off a little area and say, this is your mini dojo or dojo. And let the kids have that area to train. Keep it clean, keep it clear, right? Shouldn't have toys in it because it's their training area, but you can have a little space that they are safe to train in, right? They're not going to get yelled at for, doing anything, and it's going to really keep them motivated to want to do something. Now, here's the key with that. Again, you have to keep it clean, right? If they're playing with their toys in there, they're not going to have the same respect for it as a little miniature training area. So what I would suggest is keep it clear and just keep it very simple with some things. Maybe you have maybe one of those belt racks with their belts on it. Maybe their certificates of their promotions on there, right? Maybe some of their trophies around. Just have a little area that's going to motivate them to train more, and that's going to really help. And you don't need a lot of area. You can literally do it in a little 6 foot, 6x6 space right there. Just enough space for them to do a little routine, and I think that'll really help. That's my second tip for you. So tip number 2 is give them a little training area. Tip number 3. So I'll never forget, as a child, I grew up watching, things like Rocky and Karate Kid and Ninja Turtles, and those really always had an impact on me. Now, of course, with your child, you always have to watch the films first before it's the right thing for them. Don't just let them watch it by themselves, and I really mean that too, because we have to protect our children, right? Make sure we expose them to the correct things and the right things for their age. But if you find a movie that really has a great training sequence in it that will be really motivating for your child, let them watch it. because what they're gonna do is they're gonna watch it and they will get motivated. I, to this day, can never watch the Rocky movies without wanting to train. I just feel guilty. When they do that training montage, I have to do something. I have to stretch, I have to do something. I just personally feel guilty by not doing something. So let the kids be exposed to some of that, right? Just get them some of that trade. And there's tons and tons of movies out there that will really do that. Just have them look at it and say, wow, look at that. See how they weren't the best one and then they trained hard and now they are? Reflect on that a little bit, right? And I think that really helps them. So the movies they watch, let them be motivational. And, of course, always watch them before you do that. So tip number 3, watch training montages, all right? All right, let's get towards the end of it, team. All right, so training tip number 4, and this is really, really key, is you have to create a vision for your children. If you don't create that vision, they're not going to create it themselves, right? You have to show them that. So when I was a really, really young child, and I'll never forget this, I had a talk with my dad. My dad was not a martial artist, but he really, really was in my corner and always motivated me to be the best that I could be. And at a young age, he said, he went to me and he goes, I want you to have your own martial arts school someday. And I was thinking, oh yeah, cool, Dad, I would love to do that. Well, guess what happened? It happened, right? And it's the things that you create in your child. You have to plant seeds. You got to constantly plant seeds because you never know when they're going to grow. So tell your kids what you want. Tell them some vision. Give them some things that they can really look forward to in the future. And you know what? Sometimes it just might happen. So you have to create that in them. That is really, really important. And if you do that, you just never know what will happen right there. So talk to them constantly and constantly plant those seeds. The last tip I have for you today is, more than anything, is really celebrate, okay? So when they accomplish something in class and you're watching them, celebrate that. Make sure that they can really, feel good about themselves, because what's going to happen is it's going to encourage them to do more. Maybe they go to a tournament and they did good, but they didn't place. Well, don't talk about how they didn't place. Talk about how great they did, and you can't wait to see them in the next one. Celebrate victories, because when you celebrate the victories, they're going to want to do what? They're going to want more, right? When you get that pat on the back, right? You feel good. You have to do that for your children. And I get it. Sometimes it gets harder as they have been training for years. But if you stay on top of that, they're always going to be motivated. They might not show it. Trust me, I've been working with kids my whole life. They might not show it sometimes, but they appreciate it. Don't forget that. So give them the pat on the back. Celebrate their accomplishments. And I'm not just talking martial arts, everything. They draw a picture for you, you celebrate that picture, okay? Because guess what? One day, they're not going to draw a picture for you anymore. We have to celebrate it now. Create that for them. Team, I hope this was helpful. I hope you enjoyed this video. I have tons of other ones. Please check those out, and I will see you in our next video. Take care.